Welcome back to the Athlete's Edge by PBL. This is it's actually we've been down for a while, Rob. We haven't had an episode in some time. Yeah, but we came back because today we have a very special guest, and someone's probably really hard to get for an interview. I was just mentioning to our next guest that he's probably sick of them. But today we have the fastest swimmer in Canadian history. I was just wrapping my head around that earlier. And fresh off the Tokyo Olympics, we have Brent Hayden. So welcome, Brent, to the Athlete's Edge.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, you bet. So has it been, I mean, since you got back, I mean, what an ordeal, apparently, while you were there. And we're interested to hear about that. But since you've been back, I mean, you know, interviews, people recognizing you, you're a piece of your time. How has that sort of changed things for Brent Hayden over the last few weeks?
Yeah, I don't think things have really changed per se. I mean, definitely been doing a lot of interviews. My PR agent has been like, she's been so good. Like there were days like literally right after I got back from Tokyo, and I'm jet lagged, but you got to hit the iron when it's hot, and we have a really wide country, right? So we got to factor in time zones, and so I was doing all these morning shows back east. So of course that means I have to wake up super extra early. So I'm starting at like 6 a.m. They got another one at like 6 o'clock, and then 6:15, 6:30, like just like every circuit. 50 minutes. I'm in a new city in Canada, but it was it's been great though. Like I think just the response to, I think like what I did has just been super incredible, because I didn't medal, and that's mostly what people look at. They judge an Olympic success based on the medal, but my journey is I retired in 2012. Right? Yeah, I wasn't even supposed to be swimming anymore. So the fact that I even got there,
7 years off.
yeah, exactly. So it's been really great.
I mean, you talk about that. I mean, what's the impetus to come out of retirement? Is it an itch? Was it all you imagined? Like, what was the moment that you said, I'm coming back? And had you always left it open for a comeback, or at one point you just said, no, man, I'm done?
I actually met with my coach back in 2014 to think about doing a comeback for 2016, but there was something about it, like it just didn't feel right. Like I think that I was going to be coming back for the wrong reasons, and that's because the reason why I left the sport in the first place was, yes, I was dealing with my chronic back injuries, like my spasms. So it was really, I didn't see me being able to get fitter if I was having these spasms happening more frequently, right?
Yeah, right.
So being able to get faster was seemed pretty unrealistic. So getting that medal was an opportunity to kind of go out on a high point. But that entire year I was struggling with depression, and that wasn't just depression necessarily from literally watching my Olympic medal chances get further and further away, like fading away. There was just other stuff going on in my personal life as well. So whether I was at the pool or out of the pool, like I couldn't escape it. But it really created a negative relationship with the water for me. It just, every time I get in, it just brought back, like it would just bring up all these negative emotions. And that year going for London ended like, you think going for my Olympic medal, planning a wedding, like it should have been the best year of my life. And it was the complete opposite. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I felt like at the time, like I had to leave. So what ended up getting me into the water this time, it was actually a business decision to get into the water, because my wife and we've been running our swim camps since I retired, traveling across the country, helping out little kids, in small communities, like really remote communities sometimes too, like Happy Valley Coos Bay is a place we've been to like 3 times. I didn't even know where it was till I went there. So that's in Labrador, if people want to know.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the one thing that actually brought me joy, was actually being able to give back to the swimming community, but I couldn't get into the pool to train on my own. So in those 7 years, I swam less than 10 times on my own just to swim laps. Now I used to do that in a week of normal training, and in 7 years just didn't want to do it. So yeah, I got into the water to start filming our curriculum so we could release it online. And, we found this pool, my wife's home country of Lebanon, and it's like, Olympic sized pool. I always say it's like, just picture yourself in an Olympic sized pool on a mountainside, looking down the valley at the Mediterranean, like the most amazing sunsets. And it's just, it just kind of brought back all the good emotions that I had with swimming. So I kind of started to reconnect with the water again, find that relationship again. But then doing like my own curriculum, but for the purpose of filming, I realized I felt amazing in the water. Now in the last 7 years, like I wasn't swimming, but I was lifting a lot of weight. So I'd put on almost 20 pounds of muscle
Wow.
during those 7 years. And, with me feeling really connected with the water and, moving through the water so well, and, all those old aches and pains no longer being there and
Yeah,
having this
right.
new strength, I just like, what an opportunity for me to try to fall in love with the sport again and, try and do something that nobody in Canadian history has ever done.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic to watch. I mean, my next question is kind of, when I say the number, 400ths of a second, that number probably in your head. But I mean, what's it like in a pool? I mean, at any rate, to live your life in hundredths of a second and know what a difference that can make. It blows most people's minds how close first, second, and third is. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's exciting, especially like, in a race like the 50-meter freestyle where, it's hundredths of a second. Even in the 100, quite often it can be down to hundredths of a second. It's exciting because you just never really know what side of that coin you're going to be on. And like, sometimes like, you're on the right side. It's like you literally achieved that by 1/100th of a second. And it was like, it just feels like amazing. So, yeah, I mean, I missed the final by 4/100ths of a second, but 2 years earlier, I wasn't even swimming. I wasn't even thinking about it, right? Yeah. So I was like, and I tied for 9th too, right? So the 9th place was tied to the 100th. But it was, even though it would have been great to have been in there, I kind of had this goal that I really wanted to break my Canadian record. And my performance actually was better than that Canadian record because that was set back in 2009 during the height of the full bodysuit era.
Okay,
which is
interesting.
Like,
yeah.
people describe that as like technological doping. Like those suits made you faster. So the fact that I was only 1/10 off of that Canadian record without the full bodysuit meant that I was actually swimming better than I actually was at perhaps the fastest time of my career. Right. So put it into perspective makes me feel a little better.
Oh, 100%. Do you realize that with that kind of time passing, like when you're having a good race or a good lap, like how do you measure that? I mean, you do it so many times. It just like, how do you know mentally that I'm faster right now than I was maybe the last?
It's you can feel the current, like you can feel the water flow over your body. So you can just tell because you can actually feel your speed, right? Amazing. And then also just like, when things are just activated and you can just feel like you got a solid hold on the water, and no matter how hard you pull the water, like you don't break your hold on it, right? Like you don't drop your elbow or break your wrist to let go of the water so you can keep your hands or your arms moving fast. Like you actually are holding a lot of water while you're doing it, right? Yep. It's just like all those kind of things.
So why did they take the full body suit out? Because it was only one year, right? Was it?
No, they introduced the body suits in at the 2000 Sydney Olympics, and then through the years they just became more and more advanced. Like, wow. I don't think the early versions of those bodysuits were really that much better. But then by the end, the swimsuit companies were really pushing the envelope of what the rule of how you can like translate the rules or interpret the rules. So like in the last year, well, the rules were the suits cannot be buoyant, right? It's not like a wetsuit that has like, different buoyancy zones. But in the last year, the suits were completely covered in a layer of polyurethane. And so when you actually put that suit on, air gets trapped inside the suit between your body and the suit. And so you are actually riding up a little bit higher on the water. Now, we're talking like maybe like, 1% or 0.5%. But, like I said, when we're talking about hundreds of a second, that makes a difference. But then also the suits were so compressive that your core stability didn't matter. Like you could have the worst core strength in the world. That suit was like a corset. It would literally just hold your body in the perfect hydrodynamic position. And all you had to do was just be really powerful and know how to move your arms fast. And like in at the 2009 World Championships, over 40 world records got broken that week.
Oh wow!
Because they came out with a new suit, right?
And
that's when they're like,
everything.
okay,
yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, New Year's Day, those suits are going to be banned. I actually wasn't allowed to wear one of those full body suits because of a contract commitment, and my brand didn't think those suits were going to be legalized because of the rules, and so I was the only guy not wearing the super full body suit, and I missed the podium by 2/100ths of a second.
Wow,
and I've had so many coaches come up to me and tell me that if I just changed my suit, that I would actually be the current world record holder right now, because I just missed it.
Man, that's incredible.
But yeah,
it's not like golf, so, I guess, where they can, the technology has grown with the game, and they almost technology proof the courses, right? As guys start hitting further, they can lengthen, but it's not like you're not going to lengthen 100 meters, right? You know what I mean? Because of the technology. It's an interesting dynamic there. But so Brent, 200 meter, 100 meter, 50, 4x100 freestyle. What's your preference there? Like they're very different races in terms of pace too, right?
I'll be honest, I never liked the 200 free. I only did it because I was good at it.
Like, so why not? Why not?
That is a painful race. Like, you go past your anaerobic threshold, so you end up in your aerobic zone, but you're still trying to almost sprint, and you got to and you're trying to do that for if you have a good race of minute 44, minute 45 seconds. So can you imagine going 100%? Seeing if you're a track athlete running at 200 pace, but for a minute and 44 seconds, like your body is literally screaming at you to stop because you don't have enough oxygen in your blood to keep fueling your muscles. So a lot of it comes down to just maintaining your rhythm, but then you got to hold the water. Right. And that last 50 meters, man, I couldn't wait for that race just to be over, just to stop the hurt. I mean, the 100 free, like, it hurts a lot as well. It's basically like a mini 200 in a way, but there's no real pacing in 100. You kind of just got to go. Right. But then the 50, that one's just fun because there is no pain in the 50. You're inside your anaerobic threshold. So you never kick into the aerobic zone where you start fatiguing. You just go. You don't take a breath the entire time, because if you breathe, you lose. Wow. So you just hold your breath and just swim as fast as you can to the other side of the pool, and whatever happens, happens.
That goes against the human. Human. If you breathe, you lose. That doesn't seem.
Well, that's the thing with swimming. Like it's like the only sport where breathing will actually impact your time. Like you can't breathe whenever you want. So even in a 200 free, you probably shouldn't be breathing off the flip turn. So you got to go into the wall. You got to take no breath into the wall, for 2 or 3 strokes, 4 if you're really good. Come off the wall, 3 to 4 dolphin kicks, because you got to get under that wave that's that wake that's coming in behind everybody. Because if you come up early and you hit that, that's a lot of energy you got to waste to try to get going again. So you got to get under 3 to 4 dolphin kicks. You're also faster underwater anyway, so you try to take advantage of that. But then you don't want to breathe on the first stroke either, right? You want to maybe breathe, depending on the race, maybe the second or the third stroke. And having that that discipline when the body is, because your body wants to live. Oxygen is pretty essential. They're like to be like, no, you don't get to breathe right now because I want to win this race. Right? It sucks.
That's incredible. So have you taken? Have you kind of taken your endurance abilities and an ability in the water and never thought about trying triathlon? I mean, your endurance capabilities. Oh God, no. There. Would that be something that would just totally outside your?
Yeah, no. It's okay. This is gonna sound really weird, but my endurance seems to only be effective when I'm horizontal.
It's funny, right?
Right. I guess I guess it's just the way my heart's been conditioned for all the years to be pumping blood horizontally. I'm not really working against gravity. As soon as you put me vertical and you ask me to run, I can definitely run, but in terms of comparing to, say, the average triathlete, nah.
Yeah, right.
No, I get tired out pretty quickly.
So were there other?
I'm 206 pounds, 207 pounds, right? I'm not right. It's that's a lot of weight to move in. on
Yeah,
land.
that wouldn't work. Well, was there other sports? You hear so many phenomenal athletes that are so great in one thing, but was there other things, high school and things like that you excelled at that you could have kind of taken?
No. I sucked.
Really?
I sucked. Yeah, I sucked at every single sport.
Hey, you're honest.
Like even swimming. Like I sucked at swimming for a long time before I got good at it. Like I failed swimming lessons. I was not the best kid on my team. Like my parents just, I failed swimming lessons. My parents had to get me a private instructor. Then after that, they just like decided to stick me on the swim team because they were just determined to waterproof me. Right? It was more about water safety. My parents, we had a pool in the backyard, so it was we'd go camping at lakes and stuff. So it was just important that I learned that. Then I think my parents just wanted me to make some friends. I was very socially awkward.
Sure.
But like soccer, I was terrible at. Did every year on defense, so I never scored a single goal. The one time they put me in net, I think I led in like 2 or 3 goals, and then before they pulled me out. Baseball, don't think I ever made it to home plate. One time actually, we're talking about like I was like a little kid, right? But like I remember this one time I was sitting out in the outfield, and the ball actually like came to me, and I picked up, and I'm looking at, okay, well, who do I throw it to, right? And I see the kid, he's running towards first, and then I see another kid who's running towards home, and someone just screams like throw the ball home. So I actually turned around and threw the ball over the fence because that was the direction of my house.
Fair enough.
It's like it made sense to me. And I tried school teams too. Like I played a season on my elementary school basketball team in grade 7, and I only scored 1 basket, and it was an exhibition game against our own team. And then like
that,
never scored a single basket in any of the games, despite being the second tallest kid on the team. I did karate for 5 years. That one I think I actually excelled at. And I think that's actually where my swimming actually started to improve. I thought it was like a really great crossover, not just physical, because I learned physical literacy doing karate, having to pivot and stuff. And then, just the cross training, but also the mental side as well, because the discipline and the respect you need when you're in the dojo. Sure. I was able to transfer that into the pool, because I also suffer from an auditory processing disorder. And I don't remember what it's called, because, or I just probably wasn't paying attention, but it was, it's just like when there's a lot of background noise, I have trouble focusing. And the pools, when we would only, small summer club, we didn't rent the whole pool. We only had like 2 or 3 lanes. So the other pool, rest of the pool would be open for, public swim. And, so there'd be music going on, there'd be kids on the swings, other kids like, laughing and playing. So it was really difficult for me to focus. But when I started doing karate, I was able to start focusing more in my swimming, and then that actually started to excel. The only other sport that I was actually good at was water polo, but that's because I got good at swimming, I could get and then I got fast, so I could get a lot of breakaways. But I wasn't. But I had a terrible arm. I had a terrible throw. I was not good at like the strategy of passing the ball around. But you get me on a breakaway, that ball was going in.
You're crushing it. Yes. Well, I think, Brent, I want to get to a lot of our listeners, and I know, Rob, you want to jump into. A lot of our listeners, are sort of supplement junkies, but we have a lot of professional athletes on our roster and Olympians and things like that. So a lot of the interest here is around nutrition and training. First, I wonder for you, over the 10 years, has that changed dramatically for you, adding in supplementation, recovery? Talk about how that's kind of entered into the world of recovery and things like that for you.
Yeah, like I'll admit, when I was younger, in my first life at swimming, my nutrition really wasn't that dialed in. Like, early or like late teens, early 20s, I was like they say treat your body like a Ferrari. I was treating it like a time traveling DeLorean, just running on garbage. And but towards the end, I definitely for all you younger listeners, that's Back to the Future 2 reference. Mr. Fusion.
It's my son's favorite movie, so he's 13.
Oh, it's so good. I just watched it again recently, and the movie holds up. Anyways, towards the end, definitely started dialing in a little bit more, started including supplements, in the recovery. So, protein was probably like the easiest one.
Sure.
I started dabbling in creatine a little bit, but I didn't really have like a routine per se. I think when I retired and, I started, going to the gym, just training on my own, I think my goals changed, right?
Sure.
Because I was just, I wanted to get, stronger, I wanted to get more muscular. So, started, just getting a little bit more into it a little bit, but I always still made sure that I was sticking to supplements that were free of banned substances, right? Like, because that's just me. Because like always in the back of my head, I was like, well, what if I did come out of retirement, right? I don't want to like come out of retirement and get tested and like, something I didn't know was in my system, right? But yeah, I started, not just the protein, but educating myself on EAAs, BCAAs, learning more about creatine, things like that, right? So definitely started to get into more of like the routine and knowing like what, the timing of things as well. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why this journey actually became so successful, because like I actually became like obsessed, not just with my supplementation, hitting that, but just nutrition in general, especially around timing and hitting my micros and my macros was super, super important.
Yeah, you heard, it's funny because I think, after the last Olympics, the Michael Phelps, 10,000 calories, and people couldn't believe it. Like, it was like this big thing that everyone talked about because, average person eats like 2,000 calories a day. But I mean, in and out of the pool and the training, like, if you look at that really quickly, like, what's the split like for you? Will you still do, weight training? How much time is in the pool? Like, how did that work in terms of your training?
Yeah, I mean, so in the first life, I was swimming, 9 times a week, and those sessions would last a full 2 hours. 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon on most days. There were a couple single days as well. And then I would do weights on Tuesdays and Thursdays for about an hour and 15. And then like a 20-minute break before I hopped into the pool. Like at the old UBC pool before they built the new aquatic center, we actually had a small little gym literally just off the pool deck for the team. So we'd lift weights and then go to the pool deck, stretch, and then we hop in. This time around, I'm only swimming 5 times a week. So no doubles. So most of the time they're in the afternoon. So I get to sleep in, because I think this time around at this age, recovery is just so important that there's just no point to overtrain me and create this deficit that I just can't recover from.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I'd even take Thursdays off completely, which I don't know any other swimmers at the Olympics that were taking a day off in the middle of the week. They always would take Sunday off. So I would take Thursday off and Sunday off. But I would do weights 3 times a week. So I'd be lifting Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now, before COVID, I'd be in there for, again, like hour 15 to an hour 30, mostly depending on the pace that I want to go at. But then after COVID, we have training at the UBC center, because like I was no longer allowed to go to my own gym here. I had to train within their bubble, but they're also sharing it with other varsity programs there. So we had these time slots, and so you had 1 hour, but there had to be a 10-minute buffer so the two groups didn't overlap or interact. So we would be fully out of the gym, have time to clean up, wipe everything down. But of course, you can't walk in until exactly the top of the hour, right? So by the time you actually get in, you get everything set up, you've already lost like 5 or 8 minutes. And then you got to make sure that you actually, So ended up, my gym sessions were probably cut down to about 38 or 40 minutes 3 times a week. So it was like what I used to be able to do in one session was now split up over the week. So it had to really dial in, the best exercises that I could do in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, I bet.
Let's get back to your comment a couple minutes ago about you being very aware of what you ingest and what you take, and it being banned substance free. And as you know, and a lot of people who follow PVL know, that we are Informed Choice certified. All our products are all tested, banned substance free. Have you ever been tested while you've been using our PVL products?
Yes. I've been tested plenty of times. Like the testers will show up randomly at my house in the morning, right? And sometimes like they'll come like super early, like I'll be asleep, and sometimes actually my phone would actually still be off, and then they call the emergency number or the backup number, which goes to my wife's cell phone, and she's like, hello, like hey, doping control. I'm like, oh my god, it's 6 a.m, right? So there I am, doing a urine or even like giving blood on my kitchen table like super early in the morning.
Wow.
But even at trials, I got tested a couple times at the Olympic trials. The only like I'm actually surprised though that I actually went through the Tokyo Games without getting tested. Right, that one actually surprised me. So
that's interesting.
But yeah,
yeah.
It's like it's always random, right? Like if you get a medal, it's like you get a medal, you're definitely being tested. And then if you don't medal, then it's kind of random. But like
yeah.
But given like the 50 free and the 2 relays I did, that's still a lot of racing. It's like, okay, I never got randomly selected out of the other 5 swimmers. Like that was pretty crazy.
So what was the we kept kind of the whole story of the Olympics getting closer and closer evolved, and obviously the COVID and oh my god and these restrictions. I mean, it's hard. It's kind of strange to say, but was there some disappointment going into the Olympics because it's such a massive thing that you dream about, like to go for it, and then you have all these restrictions? I mean, you heard about delays at the airport and the social restrictions. Like, what was that like at the venue?
I mean, like it is what it is, right? Like, I mean, I think the one thing that COVID has really, shown us, and not just athletes, but I think the world in general is like there are just more important things in life.
Yeah.
Right.
Well
I think our health is way more important than sport. Right. So I feel like us going in there, despite all the restrictions and just the annoying protocols, there was just a sense of gratitude, especially when something that we worked for our entire lives was nearly taken away, right? Because this was my 4th, right? But for a lot of athletes, this might have been their only shot.
Absolutely.
Right? So
yeah.
So just appreciating the being able to actually even have that opportunity. But I will say, like, they're worth, like, because I can compare it to the other Olympics, but like after we landed in Tokyo, for example, the flight from Vancouver was about 9.5 hours. We were in the airport in Tokyo after we landed for almost another 9 hours.
Yeah,
because of all the testing, all the protocols and everything. Like if you were like a single athlete going through, maybe you're from like a smaller country, or you just didn't travel with the rest of your country's contingent, you could probably go through in a couple hours. But because we were such a large group and all the testing, you have to wait for everyone's test to finish. Wow. Man, like people were getting pretty grumpy by the end of it, because especially like it took so long for our group to go through that we suddenly didn't even have a bus to go to the village anymore, because that bus got called to go pick up other people. Sorry, my dog is walking around and he's all tangled in my microphone cable.
Life at home, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. But yeah, and then like anyways, there's other stuff too, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of it.
So Brent, I'm going to read through just some of your, you're a BC boy, which is where Fit Foods is from, right?
Yeah.
So, and you've got so many early medals. I mean, Canadian Swimmer of the Year, BC Athlete of the Year, Canadian Partners of the Year, Canadian Swimmer of the Year, BC Athlete of the Year. I mean, this is really interesting trajectory of all these awards. But I just wanted everyone to know, like, look up Brent's accomplishments. I mean, they're absolutely unbelievable in terms of what you've done in the pool, and an amazing thing to be able to come back and do all you did. To end off our these athletes' edges, we like to get a little up and close and personal and something we call rapid fire, Brent. So bear with us. We're just going to fire randoms at you, and you answer back, and you just let us know. So, favorite cheat meal?
Oh, pizza.
It's gotta be pizza.
What was it? Mission
City Meat Lovers Pizza. That's what my parents brought to the airport when they picked me up in Tokyo. And it's funny because in terms of performance, like when I'm eating for performance, like I eat pescatarian, right? With a really high emphasis on plant-based proteins, and then fish is my only source of like real meat protein. But every once in a while, I still like to just cheat and just get like a Meat Lovers pizza. just destroy it, kind of just to hit that craving. So my parents brought that because I'm originally from Mission, bringing me a taste of home, so to speak. That was great.
Superstitions. Any superstitions in the pool? I know a lot of athletes to have to do things a certain way. They get up at the same time. Like,
Yeah,
Same underwear.
not
right.
not really. Like I just I got my personal Spotify playlist.
You get
That's about it. I don't feel like I have any like weird superstitions.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry.
favorite movie, if you had to nail that one.
Oh, okay. I mean, I love me a really good bad movie. But
I like that. I like that. So bad they're good, you mean? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I think the movie that kind of inspires me the most and kind of speaks to me the most is Gattaca.
Oh, Gattaca. I do know that. Yeah. Actually, that's a good one for people.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's just, and there's like, because I mean, there's the whole swimming reference, right? But I feel like it's just this the idea that you can, no matter your position in life, you can exceed your potential, because there's no gene for the human spirit, right?
Yeah, that's a great message. Yeah, that's a good one to rewatch. So who would play Brent Hayden if there was a movie about you?
I feel like everybody would say Vin Diesel just because we got the same haircut.
Yeah, well, I can see Vin.
Or The Rock. Or The Rock.
Or The Rock. But
I don't know how The Rock would be at swimming. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Rock
yeah. But oh my gosh, I don't know.
That's a tough one. You'll think about it after. Probably all night you'll be thinking about it.
Yeah, I'll probably if I think of it while we're still doing this, I'll spit it out. But
all right, Jordan or LeBron?
Oh, Jordan.
There we go. So we've had a couple of LeBrons lately.
I'm a product of the 80s, right? Like I grew up watching Jordan and the Bulls, So it's like, just the way like you can talk about the stats and everything like that, but I just feel like Jordan was the better leader, right? Jordan didn't have to stack his teams, right? He was just, whatever team he gave him, he was going to lead them somewhere, right? Like, I feel like he embodied that he embodied the leader spirit, and not just just guy who leads by statistics. That's my own personal opinion. I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for that, but yeah.
No, I mean, I think our last guest said, would there be a LeBron without Jordan? You know what I mean? That was a big influence. Yeah. So that's an interesting one. You already dig into.
There definitely wouldn't be Nike without Jordan. He changed the face of the Nike.
That's brand. Absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah. With the Air Jordans. Yeah.
Pizza or sushi? We just heard your cheat meal is pizza, but pizza or sushi?
Oh yeah, question. Definitely pizza. But I love me some good sushi, and being
Vancouver
on the West Coast. Oh my God, you're hard pressed to ever find bad sushi. There's just different versions of good here, so it's great. It's funny, I actually didn't even have good sushi when I was in Japan. Like, they had a sushi bar in the dining hall in the village, but honestly I was not impressed. So I'm gonna have to go back to Japan and get out to I think really experience right.
Your favorite athlete growing up?
Favorite athlete, it would probably be Trevor Linden.
Hey guys, so my apologies. We had some technical difficulties in our remaining minutes with Mr. Brent Hayden, Canada's fastest man on water ever. Great interview, especially coming off a busy time for Brent after the Olympic Games. Great interview. Great to spend some time with Brent Hayden. We appreciate you watching. Stay tuned. More Athletes Edge coming soon.